All right, now we're still rationalizing the denominator, but notice the top's got a little more complicated than the ones we just did, right? But we're still doing the same thing. I want to rationalize the denominator, so I'm going to multiply by the conjugate of the bottom, which means on the first one we're going to multiply by the square root of 3 plus 1. So now we have to FOIL both the top and the bottom. So 5 square root of 3 times the square root of 3 would be 5 square root of 9, right? So just multiplying the square roots together. 5 square root of 3 times a 1 would just be 5 square root of 3. Negative 2 times the square root of 3. Negative 2 square root of 3. And then negative 2 times a positive 1 minus 2. So on the top, looking at that, to try to simplify it, I have the square root of 9 that I can simplify. The square root of 9 is just a 3. So 5 times 3 is 15. So I've got 15 minus 2. 15 minus 2 is going to give me 13. And then I've got a 5 square root of 3 minus a 2 square root of 3. I'm just going to do the front numbers. 5 minus 2 is 3. So I get plus 3 square root of 3. So I rewrote the top over here after I combined all my terms. On the bottom, I'm going to FOIL that out. Square root of 3 times the square root of 3 would be square root of 9. Square root of 3 times a positive 1 is a positive square root of 3, or positive 1 square root of 3 if you want to write the 1. On the inside, negative 1 times the square root of 3 is negative square root of 3, or negative 1 square root of 3. And then the last, negative 1 times a positive 1 is a negative 1. Now we know on the bottom when we simplify that the middle term should be opposites and will cancel out. Square root of 9 is 3. 3 minus 1 going to give me 2. So on the top we had 13 plus 3 square root of 3. On the bottom we just get a plain old 2. Again, we can't reduce any farther because I can't divide all 3 of them by the same thing. So that's just going to be my answer. So looking at number 14, I want to rationalize the denominator. What should I multiply both the top and the bottom by? Square root of 11 plus the square root of 2, exactly. So we're going to FOIL. On the top, square root of 11 times square root of 11.
121.
Square root of 121. We'll worry about simplifying later. We're just going to FOIL it first. Square root of 11 times the square root of 2.
22.
Square root of 22. On the inside, square root of 2 times the square root of 11.
22.
Another square root of 22. And then the last, square root of 2 times square root of 2.
4.
Square root of 4. So, looking at simplifying that, 121 is a perfect square, right? The square root of 121 was 11. So this is a nice whole number, 11. Also, the one on the end is a perfect square. The square root of 4 is 2. So since these are both nice whole numbers, we can add those together. 11 plus 2 gives me 13. I'm going to write that over here because that's part of our answer, right? Then I have to combine the two middle ones. Now this is where people get confused because think about what we did up here. we had 5 square root of 3 minus 2 square root of 3. We're combining just the front numbers. Here, this is 1 square root of 22 plus another 1 square root of 22, and 1 plus 1 is 2 square root of 22. We've got the top all done. We can do the bottom. So on the bottom, when we FOIL that out, square root of 11 times the square root of 11.
121.
Square root of 121. Then we do the outside. Square root of 11 times the square root of 2.
22.
Positive square root of 22. The inside, negative square root of 2 times the square root of 11.
Minus 20.
Minus the square root of 22. And then the last, negative square root of 2 times positive square root of 2.
Negative square root of 2. 4.
Negative square root of 4, right? Positive times a negative is a negative. So simplifying that, what can we do to simplify that?
Okay, you can cancel out the 22.
Cancels out the 22s.
You can do the 4, with the 2, square root of 2.
So we have square root of 4 is just 2. So we have a minus 2 on the end.
And then, got a minus 2 at the end?
Yep, because we did this
Oh,
4.
okay.
And the square root of 121 was
11.
11. So on the bottom we have 11 minus 2, right?
11, yeah.
11 minus 2 is
9.
9. And again, we can't reduce that one. So 13 plus 2 square root of 2 all over 9 is my answer. One last one on the page. So I can't move my board any higher than that. We'll go with that far. What would my conjugate be that I want to multiply by?
It's going to be square root of 6 plus 2.
Exactly. Square root of 6 plus 2 times the top and times the bottom. So on the top, foiling that out, 3 square root of 6 times the square root of 6.
3 squared, 36.
Exactly, 3 square root of 36. And then we have the outside, the 3 square root of 6 times the 2.
Plus 2, it's going to be 3 squared, 12.
Nope,
Oh, what'd you say?
the 3 square root of 6 times a plain 2. There's not a square root over that 2. So what do we multiply together?
Oh, just the 6?
What are we going to get?
Oh,
You take 3 square root of 6 times a plain old
so
2.
we're going to multiply just the 2 and the 3?
Right. 3 times 2 is 6. Square root of 6 then. Plus 6 square root of 6. Then we're going to multiply the inside together. We've got a 5 times the square root of 6.
30.
No.
5 times.
So the
Oh, so it's going to be 5 square root of 6.
Exactly. They're not both under square root, so I just put them together. Then we got on the end 5 times 2. 10. Plus 10. Okay, so simplifying that. We can simplify that first term
Yeah, by 6.
and make that 6. So we have 6 times 3
18.
is 18. So now we can combine our 18 with our 10, right?
Yep.
18 plus 10,
There's 28.
28. Then we can also combine our inside pairs because they both are square root of 6s. If I take a 6 square root of 6 plus a 5 square root of 6, I get
11.
11 square root of 6. Just adding the front numbers. We got the top all simplified. Now we can FOIL the bottom. So, FOILing the bottom. Square root of 6 times square root of 6. Square root of 36. The outside. Square root of 6 times a plain old 2.
Am I going to go 2?
2.
Square root of 6?
Exactly. 2 square root of 6 is what you get. On the inside, negative 2 times the square root of 6.
-2.
-2, square root of 6. And then the end pair, -2 times a +2.
Oh, +4.
Well, negative times a positive is a -4. So simplifying that.
So those two can cancel out,
Cancel out the middle, yep.
and then you can bring that, the square, you can
Do the
reduce
square
it
root of
down to
36 to 6, yep.
So it's gonna be square root of 6 minus 4.
Not a square root of 6, it's just a plain 6. Right? The square root of 36 is 6, not square root of 6.
Oh, just 6.
It's just 6.
So 6 minus 4 is
6 minus 4 is 2. 2. Now again, I cannot reduce this one, even though these are both divisible by 2, 11 is not, so I can't do it. If that was an even number in front of my square root, then I would have been able to reduce. I can only simplify if all three of them are divisible by the same thing. All right, that is the end of everything in that review section.